Welcome back to the LUDIP Writing Lecture Series. So far, we've covered the why, the legal and policy framework in Chapter 1, and the how, the planning process and stakeholder engagement in Chapter 2. Today, in Chapter 3, we get into the what. Specifically, what exactly goes inside a LUDIP document? What are the required sections? What content does each section need? And what does a complete, compliant LUDIP actually look like? Chapter 3 is the most content-heavy chapter in the manual, and for good reason. It is your primary reference when you sit down to write. Every section, every subsection, every content requirement is spelled out here. We'll walk through all of it, section by section, so you know exactly what's expected before you write a single word. Let's go. The LUDIP document is organized into 4 major parts, each with its own set of required sections and subsections. Part 1 is the brief profile of the state university, the institutional context, who you are, where you are, and the legal basis of your campus. Part 2 is the detailed description of the campus, the physical, environmental, infrastructural, and developmental reality of your campus as it exists today. Part 3 is the campus land use development and infrastructure plan itself, the forward-looking component, where you're going, how you'll get there, and what it will cost. Part 4 is the annexes and supporting documents, maps, inventories, architectural designs, legal instruments, consultation records, and more. Think of it this way. Part 1 tells your story. Part 2 shows your current reality. Part 3 presents your vision and plan. Part 4 proves everything you said. Now let's go through each part in detail. Part 1. Brief profile of the state university contains 5 subsections. Section 1.1, Brief History of the Campus. This section establishes the historical and institutional context of your campus. It's not just a narrative. It has specific content requirements. You need to include the year the campus was established and its legal basis, a list of all campuses with addresses and geographic tagging, the mandates of CPSU and each campus, the vision, mission, goals, and objectives, the current governing board, program offerings with COPC numbers and issuance dates, recognition and awards, alignment with the LGU's vision, and the campus's role in local and regional development. This section sets the stage. It tells the reader and the reviewer exactly who you are and why you exist. Section 1.2, Demographic Profile. This section provides a comprehensive overview of the human resource composition of the campus. You must present sex-disaggregated data on administrators, faculty, staff, and students across all campuses. You also need a 10-year population projection because your land use plan must anticipate future growth, not just document the present. Section 1.3, Geographic Location. This section defines the spatial context of the campus. It includes a description of the host province and municipality with GIS maps, the political boundaries of LGUs, and a full cadastral survey of all campus sites, including unutilized land, titled campuses, occupied sites and adjacent communities, and any land illegally occupied by third parties. It also covers the biophysical condition of a land, hazard-prone areas, and an inventory of all land titles and legal instruments. Section 1.4, Zoning Projections and Process Flow. This section outlines the zoning framework that guides campus land use management. It includes zoning projections and a step-by-step description of the zoning approval and revision process. Section 1.5, Tenurial Conditions and Land Ownership. This section establishes the legal foundations for the campus's control and use of its land, covering physical and locational characteristics, land area and boundaries, tenurial documents, and GIS maps of all land parcels. Part 1 is essentially your campus's identity document, legal, geographic, demographic, and institutional all in one. Part 2, Detailed Description of the Campus, is the situational analysis portion of the LUDIP. It answers the question, what is the current state of your campus? This part is organized into 4 subgroups. Group A covers physical features and environmental conditions, what the land looks and feels like. Group B covers existing land use and land use trends, how your land is currently being used. Group C covers infrastructure and facilities, what you've built and how it's holding up. And Group D covers development constraints. What's holding your campus back? Let's go through each group. Group A, Physical Features and Environmental Condition, contains 4 sections. Section 2.1, Land Cover and Topography. This section presents the physical attributes of your campus land, its land cover types, elevation features, and protected area status, if applicable. It also includes the location and profile of relevant watersheds and subwatersheds, and a groundwater map source from the NWRB or DNR. Section 2.2, Water Resources and Watersheds. Here you describe the hydrological systems that support campus operations, river basins, watersheds, aquifers, and protected aquatic ecosystems. Mapping these is essential for sustainable water management and infrastructure planning. Section 2.3, Protected Areas and Geophysical Constraints. This section identifies the environmental hazards and natural limitations that affect your land use decisions. You need to document landslide-prone zones, flood-prone areas, earthquake risks, erosion-prone terrain, and any volcanic, underground, or karst formations. It also includes licenses and permits related to natural resource use, such as those from the NWRB or DNR. Section 2.4, Thematic Maps. This section provides the spatial representations that support your land use analysis. Required maps include a general land use map, climate and disaster risk maps, and municipal risk and vulnerability maps. These are not decoration. They're decision-making tools that every reviewer will examine closely. Group B, Existing Land Use and Land Use Trends, documents how your campus land is currently being used and where the trends are heading. Section 2.5, Academic and Research Core. Map and describe the zones dedicated to academic and research functions. Include photos and maps showing the spatial layout and usage patterns of instructional and research facilities. Section 2.6, Résidentielle Zone. This covers faculty and staff housing, as well as student dormitories. Include a site survey, architectural design plans, and cost estimates. This section directly responds to one of the key requirements of RA 11396, Housing Provisions for Students and Employees. Section 2.7, Income-Generating Projects and Facilities. Assess the economic use of your campus lands. Document current and potential income-generating projects, their revenues, management mechanisms, and future revenue projections. This section connects land use to financial sustainability. Section 2.8, Areas of Dispute and Unutilized Land. Be transparent here. Document any disputed land areas and provide a mapped inventory of underused or idle lands. These areas represent both problems to resolve and opportunities for future development. Section 2.9, Special Land Uses. Identify lands used for non-academic purposes, agriculture, fishery, forestry, commercial operations, recreation, and transport systems. Understanding these uses is essential for balancing institutional goals with community engagement and environmental stewardship. Group C, Infrastructure and Facilities, is where you take stock of everything your campus has built and how well it's functioning. Section 2.10, Inventory of Buildings, Utilities, and Facilities. This is a comprehensive list and condition report of all campus infrastructure. It covers buildings and utilities, built-up areas for academics and allied services, carrying capacity and occupancy rates, and the technical infrastructure for water, power, wastewater, and ICT systems. Think of this section as your campus's physical assets report. Section 2.11, Status and Analysis of Utility Consumption. Present a 5-year analysis of utility consumption, water, electricity, and other essential services. The key output here is a demand versus supply analysis. Are your utilities keeping up with campus needs? Where are the gaps? Where's their waste? Section 2.12, Road Network, Drainage, and Parking Areas. Evaluate your campus's internal mobility and drainage systems. Provide maps and an inventory of all roads, drainage systems, and parking facilities. This section supports planning for accessibility, safety, and efficient traffic flow, things that affect everyone on campus every single day. Group D, development constraints, is one of the most honest and most important parts of a LUDIP. It asks you to look clearly at what's getting in the way. Section 2.13, identified issues, gaps, and opportunities. Document the current challenges in land use and infrastructure. This includes land titling issues, boundary disputes, and a SWOT analysis of your current infrastructure and land use situation. The SWOT analysis is critical. It forces you to identify not just problems, but also strengths to build on and opportunities to seize. Section 2.14, climate and disaster-related impacts on land use. This section connects your historical experience with disasters to your future planning decisions. Document the impact of past calamities, typhoons, floods, earthquakes, fires on your campus land use. Then present adaptive strategies and recommendations to make your future development more resilient. Together, Sections 2.13 and 2.14 form the evidence base for the strategies you'll propose in Part 3. You can't plan your way forward if you haven't honestly assessed what's holding you back. Before we continue, let's have a short break and look at some key takeaways. So far, we've seen that the LUDIP document is not just a simple report. It is a structured and comprehensive plan composed of 4 major parts, each serving a clear purpose. Part 1 establishes your identity, your legal basis, institutional history, and profile. Part 2 presents your current reality, and this includes not only your land and environment, but also your infrastructure and constraints. In Part 2, we discussed how Group C, infrastructure and facilities, allows you to take stock of everything your campus has built, from buildings and utilities to roads, drainage systems, and ICT infrastructure. It also looks at how well these are functioning through inventory, condition reports, and even utility consumption analysis over time. Then, Group D, development constraints, challenges you to take an honest look at your situation. It identifies issues, gaps, and opportunities, and includes a SWOT analysis of your campus. It also examines the impact of climate and disasters, helping ensure that future plans are resilient and responsive. Part 3 will focus on your vision and future direction, where your campus is heading. And Part 4 provides the supporting evidence that validates your entire plan. Key takeaways. LUDIP is both descriptive and strategic. It tells your story and plans your future. A strong Part 2 requires a complete and honest assessment of infrastructure and constraints. Infrastructure is not just about listing assets. It's about functionality, capacity, and sustainability. Identifying gaps and risks is essential to building a resilient and forward-looking campus plan. Take a moment to reflect. How updated and accurate is your campus infrastructure data? And are your current challenges clearly documented and analyzed? We will end in this section for now. See you in Part 2 of Chapter 3. For questions or technical assistance, reach out to the Planning and Development Office at cpsu_pdo at cpsu.edu.ph or cpsu.ludip@gmail.com. Thank you, and see you next time.